Okay, I believe we're live now. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Anybody out there? I believe I am live right now. Yes, I am. Good evening and welcome once again to Sincerely Agile with Mary. Um, this is the show where we promote the lean agile mindset. It is the place where we learn, unlearn, and relearn, where we can make change agents of ourselves and be awesome and wholesome together, like I always say. So please share with your friends, with your family, share the YouTube link, share the Facebook link, and have more people join us from time to time. We do have a lot of sharing of, quite informative information here. So it will be nice to have, a wider reach. So please help us share and subscribe to our channel. So thank you for being here once again. I see Victoria, I see Grace already. Thank you very much for being here. So today we have with us, we have Tolu Fagbola with us today. We have Tolu Fagbola with us today, and today we're looking at job opportunities in agile environments. So I'm just going to bring Tolu on right now. Hello, Tolu.
Hi, Mary. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to have you on the show. Thank you for the time you're investing here today on
Thank you. Thank
Sincerely
you.
Agile with Mary.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Now I'm going to introduce Tolu properly, give you a bit of his bio. Tolu Fagbola is an accomplished corporate trainer and edtech consultant that balances theory with practice through his engaging and pragmatic style, honed through years of experience as a trainer and consultant with exceptional academic background. Tolu has an engaging and pragmatic style honed through years of experience as an agile business analyst and trainer. He is currently studying for a doctorate in education at the University of Bath. Tolu has trained over 300 business analysts and agile practitioners all over the world, including UK, US, Australia, France, Germany, Sweden, and Nigeria. Tolu has also helped develop management systems and products for organizations over the past 12 years, including organizations like Polaris, the former Skybank, Diamond Bank, British Telecom Openreach, Opus Energy UK, and many more. Tolu has several qualifications. I'm not going to name them all. He's got 3 BScs, 2 masters, and like I said already, he's studying for his doctorate in education at the University of Bath. So when it comes to all things education, Tolu is your man. He's an Agile Scrum Study certified trainer, a SAFe program consultant, NLP practitioner and master practitioner, and Tolu lives in the UK with his wife and 2 daughters. Tolu, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And not only that, Tolu is also my very dependable professional friend. So he's the guy I call on if I need clarity on anything. I mean, you can see he's got 3 BScs, 2 masters, he's doing his doctorate. So if I need clarity on anything, I just call Tolu. He's always there for me professionally. So thank you once again for being on this show.
Thanks. My head just swole a little bit. I just I just got a big head reading out all those accolades.
But
Thank you
it's
for
the
having
truth.
me.
You're a very dependable professional friend. It's got to be said, and we go back, 4 or 5 years. You're always there. If I needed help, you were always there. So thank you very much. We need to appreciate our friends. And let me just see what people are saying there. Watching from Abuja. That's very nice. Mobola also is here. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for investing your time. So let's kick it off with Tolu. Now, Tolu, we're going to be talking about COVID for a while. We are going to be talking about COVID for a while. The reason being that it's been a huge, huge change. Now, the employment landscape is, being redefined due to the COVID pandemic. Now, what changes aside remote working? Because obviously that is one big change we have now. But what other changes aside remote working, should we anticipate?
Thank you very much for the question. I think we can't skim over the idea that remote working is changing the way we work, and that's by far the biggest impact that we have on the world of work since COVID. And even within that sort of space of remote working, there's lots of different impacts within that space. So aside from remote working, one of the things that I think is huge for us, and and that COVID has accelerated, and we can start to see those changes right now, is my opinion, and I think a lot of experts in the industry and lots of analysts are suggesting that in the next 10 years, about 50% of human jobs will be replaced by machines and robots. I think there's no getting away from that. And for me, we already see that today. In my field of training business analysts, it's huge. Over the last year, the amount of robotic process automation jobs out there is just kind of skyrocketed. The amount of automation projects being embarked on skyrocketed. The amount of roles that require having to do something with a robot, a machine, skyrocketed, from retail all the way to sort of digital software development, healthcare. Lots, almost. I like to think that I don't think any industry is going to be safe from the takeover of the machines. I don't think so. Even in education, there's
Yeah.
talks of robots starting to teach, and an area that I'm particularly interested in is that area. How does machine learning aid learning, right? Not to take over the job of the teacher, but there's so many things that robots can be used to do. Lots of manual tasks, lots of repeatable tasks that robots can be used to do. And it's starting to get really sophisticated, and it's not science fiction. Lots of
Yeah.
organizations are already using AI and machine learning and robots to do a lot of stuff. And with COVID making people think about efficiency savings and how can we reduce costs, these things are being brought to the forefront. So I think perhaps the biggest accelerator that COVID has kind of brought about is probably the idea that machine learning, artificial intelligence is going to take over a lot of jobs.
Mm.
But I don't think it's something that people should be afraid of, like you see in science fiction movies.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think there are lots of layers to it. I'm not an AI expert or anything, but there's
Yeah.
lots of layers to it. But I do think people should be looking at leveraging AI, machine learning, RPA, robotic process automation, as part of their skill sets. People should know how it will affect their
Yeah.
industry. So if you're in the retail industry, you want to know how is machine learning, robots going to impact on your industry, and you want to be familiar with how that's going to happen and where it is right now.
Absolutely.
In the healthcare industry, you want to know what the impact will be. Whatever industry that you're in, you want to know how far we are from
Mm.
the total machine takeover. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I think that will be the biggest shift. I think we'll.
However, I like how you've just talked about how a lot of shift towards robotics and artificial intelligence. This is already happening, like you rightly said.
It is.
And what we now need to start thinking about is not to be scared that we're going to be losing our jobs,
Yeah.
but to actually ask ourselves, what next? What does this mean for my skill set today?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for me in terms of upskilling and reskilling? Because what will happen is some jobs may go, but some new jobs will come
Yeah,
out. That is what
absolutely.
always happens. And
Absolutely.
what, as you were talking, all I could remember was 30 years ago when the word processor came about.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
had all these typists and all these
Yep.
business centers. It was
Yep.
a huge change. It
Yep.
was a huge change.
Yep.
But guess what? it meant we saw the end of, the secretarial work, but it meant we saw a whole lot of other job roles coming up.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
is exactly what is going to be happening now.
Absolutely. And the typists that can't learn how to use Microsoft Word will become extinct. But the typists who
Exactly.
learned how to use Microsoft Word suddenly became, the most experienced word processing expert in the industry. So I
Absolutely.
think the same thing will happen here. Yeah,
Absolutely. So it's a case of, upskilling and reskilling, really.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely. Now, talking about diversity and inclusion, of course, we're still talking about, the whole job scenario.
Mm,
This is, an ongoing conversation. Talking about diversity and inclusion around the BAME community was always an ongoing conversation pre-COVID. Now, we all know that, I mean, when we talk about BAME, what we're really talking about is the Black, Asian, minority ethnic group. And what we're saying here is that pre-COVID, there was already a challenge in terms of job types, or the level of engagement, or to what extent did we have diversity and inclusion at different levels of organizations, or even in different sectors. Now, post-COVID, what might the reality for BAME community look like with regards to employment, given that this was already a challenge before COVID? Post-COVID, what might the reality look like?
the conversation around the BAME community and work is one conversation that I always like to tread carefully about and compartmentalize in a lot of different ways. And I always like to try to tackle that conversation at various different levels. So,
Yeah.
at an individual level, culturally, I think Black, ethnic, minority, Asian communities are generally, I believe, we are generally hardworking, we're generally educationally oriented, we're generally upwardly mobile, we generally seek to improve, and we do whatever it takes to get to where we want to get to. So at an individual level, I think it's always the challenges have always been there, and we've always found a way. Right now, at a social uh, um, level, at a societal level, that's an interesting conversation to have, because I think I saw a CIPD report that was 3 years old that kind of
Mm.
did a survey of Black, ethnic, minority, BAME communities in the workplace, and looked at the impact of race and ethnicity and identity on their career progression. And naturally, BAME communities find it harder to progress within their careers compared to the white counterparts. And due to COVID, a lot of roles that have been lost affected us more, disproportionately more
Yeah.
than our white counterparts. Due to the pandemic, for various reasons, we were adversely impacted more. And naturally, I think it will take a lot of strength and a lot of work for us to overcome those challenges. I think we will, naturally, as we always do. But I think it's a very it's a very um, interesting time for the BAME community. But there are lots of initiatives out there that are targeting disadvantaged communities, that are giving opportunities to learn and grow and get into work. So, in as much as it is a tough time, it
Mm.
also is an opportune time. Lots of, I think the Skills Funding Agency has put a lot of funding towards the learning and growth of disadvantaged communities in lots of different areas, and being able to access those funds is really important for us, and I think we just need to be educated about that. um,
About it.
yeah, but that's just the conversation at one level. What can we
Mhm.
do to overcome the challenges that
Mhm.
inadvertently has affected our community disproportionately more. And I think seeking out the funds available is one thing we can definitely do.
Yeah.
At the level of diversity and inclusion in the workplace today, I think we still have a long way to go. I think 2020 was a really interesting one with the um, with the conversation around race in the workplace. But I think we still have a long way to go. Very recently, I was having a conversation with an organization. I'm not going to mention the name, and they were looking to hire a trainer, and
Mm.
you know, one question they asked was, "Oh, is he based in the UK? Because he seems to have an accent, and do you think he's going to be able to build rapport with the learners?" And I took a deep breath. I took a deep sigh, and I thought, okay, now this is where it begins. Because of the way somebody sounds, you assume that they might not be able to build a rapport because you had a 5-minute conversation with them. And I thought, okay, how do we overcome this? Because this person was by far the most qualified person you could get. This person has written publications. This person is super, super talented. But the that seed of doubt that this person might not be competent because they have an accent all of a sudden sort of puts you back, 10
Yeah.
steps, because, well, if there was somebody half as qualified that sounds okay, that sounds like they know how to, build rapport, sounds like not actually that they will probably get the role ahead of the person who's way better qualified, but sounds like they might not be able to build rapport because of the way they look. In itself, I don't think is racism, but I think
Mm.
it's unconscious bias that we
Yeah.
still need to check, and we still have a long way to go.
Hmm.
And we see those things a lot day to
Yeah.
day in the corporate world, but we find a way to justify it.
Hmm.
It's not about race; it's about their ability to communicate. It's not about race; it's their ability to get people on their side. It's so you start to think, well, is it really, or have you automatically assumed that this person won't be friendly because they are the way they look?
Absolutely.
So I think from that perspective, we
Mm.
still have a long way to go, because the companies that we're talking to, and the companies that the diversity outside, especially outside of London, still got a long way to go. At the
Mm.
top, still got a long way to go,
Absolutely. It
and then
cuts right across the spectrum.
across the
And
spectrum.
Stella is saying here,
Mhm.
unconscious bias is real.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also want to draw your attention to this comment. I see less
Upskill.
discrimination for the BAME community as remote working becomes more embedded and increased emphasis on skill set.
Okay,
What do you
interesting.
think?
Um, I don't, honestly. I don't. I see it morphing into something else. I see see it manifesting itself in different areas. I see it because we're still communicating
Hmm.
virtually. We're
Yeah.
still on video. You're still, you still have those things. Now, what might happen, and again, I don't have any sort of empirical evidence to back this up. I think what might happen is, because there's less opportunity to chit chat and form cliques and communities, you're more focused on your work. You might be able, and there's more focus on written communication. Your work might be seen a lot more than your chit chat and your social ability to kiss butt in the office. Yeah, so there's that might have something to do with
Hmm.
it. There might be some sort of a positive impact for the BIM community there, but
Okay.
I think it just morphs. It just becomes something else. Getting
Okay.
into those organizations might be even harder now.
Yeah. And I like what Stella is saying here. Post-COVID, upskilling, relearning, possible career change with transferable skills You already have. Absolutely. Senior opportunities, new challenges, new mindset shift. Obviously, that is what we need. And that's going to take me to another question for you, Tolu, which is I know you are working on some apprenticeship programs because we're now
Yeah.
talking, reskilling, upskilling, shifting our mindset. There's nothing to be afraid of that artificial intelligence and, robotics is on the increase. We need to reskill. We
Mhm.
need to reskill. And in the process of, some of the responses you gave, you talked about funding. So what's the funding out there? What can the BAME community tap into? Anybody really that needs it, because I mean it's
Yeah.
not just the BAME community
Yeah.
that has
Yeah.
been affected. So
Yeah.
what is out there? So I know you have apprenticeship program, which is actually one of the main reasons I wanted you on the show. I wanted you to come and talk
Really?
about.
Is that all?
I said one. I
I
said
thought.
one. I said one of the reasons, so that you
That's
can
right.
come and talk about it because people have been affected by this
Yeah.
COVID thing and people need to get back to work. We need people to get their,
Yep.
confidence back up and all of that. So please fire away. What is this apprenticeship program all about? And of course, when we talk about reskilling, we're talking about reskilling in the digital space. We cannot escape digital.
Absolutely.
We cannot escape digital. You must be able to use digital, whether we're talking social media, whether we're talking Word documents, whatever. You must be in that digital space. And the good thing about being in the digital space, I mean, if we go back 30 years, if I go back 30 years, or should I say 25 years, when I worked as an Oracle DBA, for crying out loud, I had to write programs. Okay. But these days, we use a lot of, sophisticated tools, and you don't need to know anything about programming. Right or wrong, Tolu? You don't need to know anything about programming. You just need to be able to use the friendly user interface. So you really need to get into that digital space. So it's about skilling up in the digital space. So Tolu, over to you.
Thank you so much. So apprenticeship, the apprenticeship program that's funded by the Skills Funding Agency is a way to help employers upskill their staff and make them occupationally competent. Back in the day, apprenticeships used to be focused on young people, used to be focused on people who were just starting with the company, and really had a limited number of programs you could do. But now there's been a significant shift into the use and the regulations around apprenticeships. Now there's no age limit to who can be on an apprenticeship, and it's not just for new staff, it's for existing staff as well of an organization. The government recommends that employers pay their apprentices a recommended apprenticeship wage, which is kind of less than minimum wage. So a lot of organizations are finding that as a route to getting staff skilled up. So the apprenticeship programs are now much more flexible. We
Mm,
used to have what we call frameworks in the past. Now it's more about standards. So there's a loose curriculum that the programs need to deliver, and those programs are developed by companies. They call them the trailblazers, the
mhm,
companies who have these kinds of roles and who suggest what these roles should learn. For example, a data analyst apprenticeship is developed, the curriculum is developed by companies who hire data analysts and who use data analysts day to day. So they're best placed to say what should be taught in these apprenticeships. Not like the typical professional certification programs, which may be far removed from what happens in reality day to day in the workplace. So the apprenticeship programs, the standards are actually designed to mirror what's needed in the workplace as developed by the trailblazers, who are companies who use these roles. And in the last couple of years, 3 years ago, the digital apprenticeships were released. Now, the digital apprenticeships are a sort of suite of programs that are geared towards the digital space. So we have roles like data analysis apprenticeship, business analysis apprenticeship, digital marketing apprenticeship. We have DevOps engineer apprenticeships, infrastructure technician, software developers. Those are the kind of apprenticeships in the digital space that organizations are getting people on board to take, and they're not paying them a lot of money because the government says you don't have to pay them that much. Just make sure you give them the opportunity to learn 20% of the time. So you're working for the organization and you're spending 20% of your work time
Mm.
training
Yeah.
to be a qualified infrastructure technician, cybersecurity analyst, data analyst, business analyst, digital marketer, and so on. So the digital apprenticeships are now for me, I think it's a game changer. And a lot of organizations don't actually know about it because they think it's for kids and they think it's for certain people of a certain age, and they don't actually know that the government is actually paying for it. So the government, if you're a small organization, you can train up to 10 people on an apprenticeship of your choosing.
Mm.
And it doesn't actually have to be the job role. It's about skilling. It's about the skills. So you could be a call center agent in a housing association who wants to be a data analyst, and you can get on the data analysis apprenticeship program, and the government is paying for it. So organizations are now using it as a way to supplement their training budget because they're now cutting costs. So they're going, do you know what? Well, let's get our people on apprenticeships. If they want the qualification, they might have been doing the job, or they might be wanting to do the job. Let's get
Mm.
them on an apprenticeship, and we'll support them through the program. It's a way to also keep talented staff in their organization as well. They must be paid. It's actually less than minimum wage, Stella. It's £4.15 an hour. So the organizations actually get a nice free pass. It's almost kind of like cheap labor if you think about it.
Yeah, it is cheap labor, but
Yeah,
it's still
but
better than just
it's
being at home, right?
opportunity. Absolutely, it's an
It is an
opportunity for people
opportunity
to
to
learn.
learn.
Absolutely, it's an opportunity for people to learn and get good at their job. And and as long as the employer is committed to helping their people learn, they get the benefits, and the training providers will support them through these programs. But Stella is saying, totally speaking my language, is about getting people to the occupational company. Absolutely, absolutely. So apprenticeships for me, absolute game changer. I don't know if you remember, Mary, a few years ago, we've been delivering training virtually for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And I didn't look at the apprenticeships because in my mind it was for kids. And I always used to say, I don't train kids. I deal with adults only. But with the changes and the regulations and the way it's now structured,
Yeah.
and the digital apprenticeship route, absolute game changer, because the government is paying to get these people to get our people trained. So
Yeah.
why not take advantage of it? And for the levy paying organizations, for the organizations who have a payroll of £3 million, they pay a levy. They pay a certain amount towards the apprenticeship levy, and a lot of them don't even use don't even use what they are already paying for. So they also need to be educated about using the apprenticeship levy to train their staff. And there's also another thing that they do, which is quite recent. They can transfer funds from big organizations who have a levy, can transfer some of their levy to a smaller organization. For example, we're talking to a number of football clubs at the moment who have, lots of money in the levy to help the smaller clubs to train some of their staff as well. Some of these players, professional players who have a very short professional life, a professional sports life, will
Mm.
need to learn something. Of course, the Premiership players, they're good. We're talking about the non-league players, the semi-professional players, the players who aren't earning millions and millions of pounds. When their career is over, they need to find sustainable work. and the
Mhm.
ones who get injured, who have other issues, they also have that a route to follow, and that skill upskilling route to look out for. So that's one of the things that apprenticeships are amazing for. And lots of people, especially in the BAME community, need to be exploring the apprenticeship route right now. Yes,
They
they're
need to
long.
know about it first, though. They need to
They
know
need to
about it, because what I'm
absolutely.
getting from what you're saying is as
Yeah,
though a lot of people do not know about these apprenticeship programs. There are some organizations that are not even leveraging it. Some
absolutely,
organizations have paid for it and they are not even using it. Now,
absolutely.
another thing I'm picking up here is it seems you have to be within an organization to
You do,
benefit from this.
absolutely.
So, if I'm an unemployed woman at home right
Mhm,
now, how do
mhm.
I tap into this opportunity?
So, on the apprenticeship website, there are apprenticeship roles available, right? And apprenticeship roles, an organization who's looking for an apprentice can actually, put the a vacancy on the apprenticeship website, and you can hire that you can apply for apprenticeship roles there. Um, Also, as apprenticeship training providers, many apprenticeship training providers help learners find work with an
Okay.
employer. um, and for example, I have one or two employers who are looking to hire
Mm-hmm.
one or two people, so we can then match them. Again, there's a supply and demand element here.
Yeah.
So but the one thing that's absolutely certain is the apprenticeships are for employers to upskill their staff, so you've got to be employed. Now, the benefit for the employer is you don't have to pay so much money to train them, and you don't have to pay them so much money whilst they're learning. You do have to commit to them, though. You do have to support them. You do have to make sure that you want to keep them and you see some potential in them, and that's also a two-way thing. And the
Mm,
learner, the employee, the apprentice also needs to show the commitment and the willingness to learn and grow within their organization. So it's there's a huge opportunity there. It's still a growing market, and I think
mm,
over the coming year or years, it will be much more ubiquitous. You will see lots and lots of apprenticeship roles out there. But I'll say, reach out to an apprenticeship training provider and find out what they've got available. Some would help recruit, some won't help recruit.
mm,
And yeah, I run an apprenticeship training business, and we're new. So
mm.
we are helping recruit at a very small level. We mainly focus on employers who want to train their staff, because that's what we know how to do. So one of the
Yeah.
things that we're doing is we're partnering with recruitment companies who have, the route, they who have the knowledge of recruitment, to make sure that they're recruiting for employers properly. So,
Mm.
so that's one avenue,
Yeah.
apprenticeships. Another avenue is adult education budgets,
Okay.
and these are national, local, geographical, demographic specific funds available for lots of different things. So, um, again, training providers will have lots of funding available for lots of different things. So we could have funding for adult social care, or people wanting to get into that area. We could have funding for people wanting to, for example, there's some fund available now for people in the gig economy looking to, you know, um, learn how to be more effective freelancers, and which is kind of recently, and the government has kind of put that up for training providers to deliver these courses to people, and those are not employer linked. So those are,
Okay.
there might be some criteria. You might have to live in a particular area or be of a certain demographic to get access to those funds, and those again, they pop up all the time. So again, training providers that are accredited will have access to some of those courses and those funds. So there's lots of funding opportunities out there at the moment.
Mm.
And we're just kind of learning all these things. And I was talking to one of our staff a couple of days ago. It was like, oh my God, I had no idea there was all this stuff available.
Yeah.
How do we get people on them?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there's plenty, and we just need to be able to know where they are and be looking to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, is the mindset of learning that's really, really important. If you want to learn something and you genuinely money is an issue, a factor, you will find a way to get
Yeah.
around it. But if you give up because I don't think I will be able to afford a course in data management, or I don't think I'll be able to afford a course in agile, I'm going to leave it till when I'm going to have money. Well, that's never going to happen. So it's the learning mindset that needs to be
Yeah.
improved for
People
people.
need to be willing to learn, because
Yeah,
there's always this learning anxiety. We all know that,
yeah,
having to learn something new. But the
yeah.
rate of change, the rate at which things are changing, we really need to have a mindset shift
It
when it
is.
comes to learning.
It
And
is.
I like the fact that you said you're collaborating with recruiters, because I
Oh yeah,
think that is important.
that's
Because,
huge.
for example, not until you actually said, it has to be that employers want to train their employees. I thought, that wasn't the case. Well, rather, that wasn't only the
Hmm.
case,
Hmm.
that it could be home unemployed and maybe apply for some kind of grant. I thought that could also be a thing going on, you
Yeah,
know?
there is that.
Okay.
That's anonymous. That's where the adult education budget comes in.
Content.
So
Okay.
there's some courses that you can apply for. I know, for example, accounting. Lots of people wanting to learn accounting or get into accounting. The
Hmm.
adult education budget is available for that. So
Okay.
but the
Cool.
training provider needs to make that available. Now, here's a thing that I just found out in their
Hmm.
industry. So a training provider might have a route where they are selling a course that's fully paid for by you, the consumer, but they might also have a government funded program. It's the same course, but if you can't afford, so they you call them up and you say, I want to get onto this AAT level 3. Great, it's X amount of pounds. Great. If you can't afford to pay it, we'll put you on
Yeah.
a installment plan, no problem. Now, if you actually can't afford, then we would recommend that you get onto this government funded opportunity, but you don't know about that until you get to the point where you actually can't afford it. So
Well, I
if you
guess
can,
that's a good thing, because you want to
yeah,
make sure that the people who really need it
absolutely,
are the
are
people
the
who,
ones that are getting
is
it.
made
Absolutely.
available to. So
So,
I
so
think
which,
I'm okay with
yeah,
that.
which is why you've got to want to learn in the first place, right?
Exactly.
So if you didn't
Exactly.
if you didn't inquire about it, well, you would never know. So you didn't really
Yeah.
want it. So
Yeah.
that's why I said the learning mindset is really, really important. If you
Very
did,
important.
and money is really the only barrier,
Mm.
then
Mm.
you'll be fine. But
Yeah.
you've got to want to in the first place.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now, let's talk a little bit about Agile, because we're talking
Yeah.
about digital, and it's not just about digitization, it's also about, work in the Agile space. And what I quickly want to, talk about is the fact that traditionally, the project manager role is now split into the product owner and the Scrum Master role. So if you want to come into the Agile space, you could be coming into the Agile space as a Scrum Master, as a product owner. We have developers in the Agile space as well. So just to let you know that Scrum Master role, product owner role, traditionally is what you had, as a project manager. So these are things you can do in the Agile space. Now, talking about Agile, we also have Agile business analyst. Tolu, you have done a lot of training. I have trained with you, Agile business analyst. We've done this for years. This is also a role within the Agile space. And these are roles that pay so well. And with product owner and Scrum Master, you don't necessarily have to be technically oriented. A lot of people shy away from these roles because they think they really have to be techies, but that is not the case. That is not the case at all. And in these roles, when we're talking about permanent roles, we're talking about anything from 45 to 70K. Is that right, Tolu?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can widen the range a little bit. You can go lower, you can go higher, depending
Okay.
on one, the industry, your experience, the
Okay.
type of role, and some of these roles are becoming more and more fragmented now. And there's, I just like to say, focus on leverage your transferable skills. Like, look at what you've got. What industry do you have domain knowledge in? What have you done in the past? What transferable skills can you bring? For example, I was, one of my recent students, was in a HR industry, HR business partner, done a lot of work in HR, and we had to look at, okay, what did you do as a HR practitioner? Well, I wrote lots of policies and procedures. Great. I did lots of process changes for our HR teams. Great. I helped implement a SAP HR when we were moving. Great. Well, you do realize that those are all BA type role
Yeah.
activities, right? You could literally take all of that stuff. You don't need to throw away all your years of experience and try to come to the entry level in a new industry that you have no knowledge of whatsoever. Use your transferable skills
Yeah.
and leverage what you've already got and play to your strengths. um,
Mm-hmm.
and don't try to sort of reinvent the wheel. It's not, for me, I think it's not very sustainable when you're totally out of your comfort zone. Work with what you've got, build your skill set, build your confidence, and then you can start to do more and more stuff. So the rate, when it comes to the money, for me, I really actually don't look at it as much. I don't, because you could start out as a business architect because you've led a HR unit for the last 15 years, and you go straight in and you're earning 90K,
Yeah.
right? Or you can go, because you have no experience at all. You're really, maybe you're young and you come straight in and you're starting at 25.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
And I always say, focus on you. What do you have? What do you
Mm.
know? Don't
Mm.
throw any of your knowledge and experience away. Focus, bring that to the table, and
Yeah.
then look at what you need to add to your skills to be able to get you to where you need to get to. So
Mm.
that sort of career planning is really important, and I think people kind of need to focus more on that rather than um, jumping on the next shiny thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
I
see a
really
lot of
like
people do that.
the
Yeah,
fact that we're touching on the transferable skills, because that is
yeah,
so important. You already have this domain knowledge that you have
yeah,
built over the years, and it
yeah.
does count for a lot, doesn't it?
It
It
does.
does
It
count for a
does.
lot.
It does.
And when we talk about business, the role of a business analyst, we're talking about different domains. It could be
Yeah,
banking, it could be
yeah.
healthcare, it could be retail, it could be
Retail. Right.
it,
Right now, ASOS just
yeah,
bought over Arcadia, and
yeah,
if you look at the website, a lot of BA roles:
yeah,
BA finance, BA market, BA data, BA marketing. It was like, oh my god, So they just need knowledge. They need lots and lots of people to kind of do lots and
yeah,
lots of different things. So, what area do you? If you might have been on the shop floor at a retail company before, trust me, you will be great in those kinds of roles, and if you look at what they expect of you, you
mm,
realize, wow, it's actually not as technical as I thought it was going to be. I'm not technical. I don't see myself as technical at all. I've never written a line of code before in my life. I don't consider myself technical at all in any way. And that's not what I do. I let the techies do the techie
yeah,
stuff. I'm more business,
absolutely.
more, what do you need to achieve within the business? What do you need to learn? What do you need to do to improve? And let's find a way to leverage technology or leverage technology to get that done. So,
I'm so happy you brought up the shop floor thing, because I was just going to say it takes us back to the fact that we may be losing some roles, but new
mm,
roles are coming up. Now,
yeah.
the reason we're having all these jobs coming up online is
Mm,
because they are bigger online, right?
mhm,
So ASOS is much more bigger than they used to be because of the acquisitions going on right now. So they need more and more analysts to help them, achieve all that they need to achieve. So someone who used to be on the shop floor, engaging with customers, one on one, has a lot to offer, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They understand the domain. They know
That's
how
it.
the stock is managed. They know how the stock is replenished. They know how the pricing works. They know how the display works. They know they know what the refund policy is. They know what the exchange policy is. They know how the goods are brought in and brought out. They know the process.
They do. They do. They do. So
They
they
just
have a lot
need
to
to write
offer.
it down, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and as a and whatever it is, whether you're working as a IT project manager, delivery manager, agile scrum master, product owner, business analyst, data, it doesn't matter, right? It's now a question of, okay, what are you most likely going to be good at,
Exactly.
and then we can figure out how do you transition. But don't the biggest thing is that knowledge that you're bringing to the table, and I think that's huge for a lot of people.
And it is so important to emphasize on that because I think sometimes we tend to downplay what we
Hmm.
already have. We
Yeah.
tend to do that a lot. We always think it's not enough. And
Mhm.
we tend to think it's not enough all because, oh, we've got this digital role now. And
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that I fit into this digital role,
Yeah.
forgetting that it's not about being technically oriented,
Yeah.
it is about business requirements.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what it is. It's about business requirements. So that is the whole point of this show,
Yeah.
to try and create awareness about this,
Yeah.
roles, that it's not a technical role and
Mhm.
that the knowledge you already have
Yeah.
is transferable.
Yeah.
So when you see these job roles advertised, oh, we need a business analyst for ASOS, we need a business analyst for Amazon, go for it.
Mm. Mm.
Go for it because you have the business knowledge already. You have put in the years, you have the one on one customer experience, you understand the business processes, and you have a lot to offer as an analyst in that domain. So,
Yeah.
this is how we really want you to look at this.
Yeah.
Now, Tolu, if let's see, do I have your email address? I believe Mayowa has posted some of your information. Let us see what comments we have. Um, okay, it's about looking at the bigger picture, looking outside the box. Absolutely, Stella, we need to think outside the box. We really need to. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to catch what the comments are. Is this apprenticeship available to US candidates?
Unfortunately, no. It's not even available to Scottish candidates. I get that all the time because we work in with distributor teams. Some of my team are in different parts of the world, so in different areas we have different clientele, and the people that are not in England are always asking, well, how can I get on this apprenticeship program? I don't live in the UK. Unfortunately, that's the prerequisite. You've got to be living in England, not even Ireland or Scotland. You've
Or
got to be living
Scotland,
in
let
the
alone the United States.
let alone United States. So I don't know what the process is because I know different countries, especially in Europe, have their own
Mm,
programs. I think Germany has a really good apprenticeship program. I don't know what US has. Unfortunately, I don't know what their approach is, but it'll be interesting to know what the
mm,
Americans are doing for their for upskilling at a national level, or
absolutely.
state by state. I think is more appropriate for them. But I
Sure.
don't know. I would like to know. I would like to know. Bamidele, please help us do some research and find out what the apprenticeship market is like in the US, and
Uh,
we'll see if we can add some value in that space. But no.
Cool. Cool. So, Tolu, your websites, if people need to get in touch, they want to know more about what you're doing, because obviously, I think there are opportunities with your organization because you're working with recruiters. So there's that opportunity to probably, map people with recruiters and, get the
Yeah.
right training on board as well.
Yeah.
So what's
So
the website?
the apprenticeship business is e-careers.com/apprenticeships. So e-careers.com/apprenticeships. So
Okay.
that's that. and it's tolu.f@e-careers.com.
That's too long. I should have taken that from you before the show.
Yeah, I can give it to you.
Yeah, can you type it in? Okay. So while you're typing that in, if you can,
At e-careers.
are you putting that in the comments?
Yeah, I'm putting that into the chat. Oh,
Into the chat.
so it's
Okay,
private
cool.
chat.
Cool. So I'm just gonna grab that and hopefully
That's
show
the
that
that's for the
everybody.
apprenticeship business.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna put that in here. So you can get in touch with Tolu. Let me just show that. Yeah, that's it. So please get in touch with Tolu if you're interested in any of the apprenticeship program, because we really need to get everybody out there working. And let me get the other one to you as well.
And
Because that's the whole point of the show. If you think you need this, please go for it. Go for it. And that's the second one there, ecareers.com/apprenticeship.
apprenticeships.
Or if you know anyone who would probably need, this kind of service, this kind of training, please let them know about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, not to forget that for
Yeah.
the, as you know, we still run the career transitioners Agile BA fast track program and other
Yeah.
sort of training courses, career coaching.
Yeah,
and stuff
you
like
also
that.
do certifications in business analyst
Yeah,
role.
we have certifications
Yeah.
as well, business data. So yeah, there's career transitioners.
Career transitioners as well. Careertransitioners.com.
Yep.
Okay. So please get in touch with Tolu if you are interested in any of this, and if you know anyone in particular who would like to take advantage of the adult learning funding, as well as the apprenticeship that is going on as well. So the third website is careertransitioners.com, and I'm just going to get you that.
Yeah.
Yep, banners, yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go. Careertransitioners.com. Tolu has been doing a lot of business analysis training, and he's gotten a lot of people into the BA role in the Agile environment. I also do a lot of training in Agile, especially for Scrum Master roles, and I have gotten a few people into that role as well. And these are roles, like we said, that pay very well, and they are not necessarily technical. So please don't shy away from all these roles. They pay well, and they are not technical. And we can do it. We need to get into these spaces as well. We really can get this going. Yep. So let me just talk about my next show. So my next show, you're going to find this very, very interesting. My next show is Agility in Romance. Take a wild guess why that is. Next Sunday.
Agility in Romance.
Agility in Romance. It is next Sunday. And we're going to be talking about agility in romance, LOVE, love. And we're going to be having Jerome Yaovi Onikwede. He's a marriage and relationship consultant. It promises to be an interesting one, so you don't want to miss this. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Now, to our viewers, we're coming slowly to the end of our show today. Thank you very much for being here today. Please get in touch with Tolu if you need his assistance. You want to come into this space as a business analyst. You want to come in as a Scrum Master. You want to come in as, whatever.
Data analyst, cybersecurity.
What was the other one?
So right now, we have a number of programs that we already deliver in the apprenticeship space. We deliver business analysis, data analysis. We do some non-digital roles as well. We do mortgage advice, payroll administration. And we are starting our cybersecurity apprenticeship and infrastructure technician in the next couple of months. We are growing. We're growing, and we're adding more programs into our portfolio. I'm not I don't deliver all the courses myself. I would like to think I could, but I can't. I don't have the skill set across all those areas. My own
Mm,
area that I normally focus on teaching is business analysis,
yeah,
agile. But we've
yeah.
got other trainers that deliver some fantastic trainers that deliver
Mhm.
some of the other programs. So
And my area of focus is Agile, Scrum. If
yeah,
you're interested in, coming into the Agile space as a Scrum Master,
yeah.
I'm your woman. So there you go. So to all our audience today, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today. We'd like to keep to time, and we will be here, like I said, we will be here again next Sunday, and the topic is agility in romance. You don't want to miss this. It's going to be fun. We want to talk about how we can bring agility to romance, to our marriages, to our relationships, and how we need to move with the times also. So why not? After all, next Sunday is Valentine's Day. So
Oh
let's see what
yes,
you have to
it
say.
is. Oh
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Valentine. So see you next Sunday.
Thank you
Tolu,
very
thank
much
you
for
so
having
much
me.
for your time today. I thoroughly enjoyed myself with you, and I hope we have given enough information to our audience. So please reach out to us if you need our assistance. So thank you all very much. See you next Sunday.
Take care.
Take care. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.